Hello there. Just want to talk to you today about neutral density filters. A friend of the channel was asking about the color filters that I use. Well, I don't use color filters. I use this. This is the Freewell ND filters for the camera. Now, because it's quite a nice bright afternoon here, I put on the ND32 filter. If it was really bright and my face was fully lit with the bright sun, I would put on the 64. And what it does is it allows me to be more cinematic. Also, this little kit of ND filters, it actually contains these are hybrid filters, and they contain a polarizing filter as well as a neutral density filter. I'll just take one out of the box and show you. This is the ND8. You won't be able to see through it at the moment because I've got the 32 on already. But yeah, basically it's sunglasses for your camera. Now I'm shooting in 4K 24 frames a second, and I'm using the 180 rule, which means that I'm using a shutter speed of 1 over double the frame rate. So the frame rate is 24 frames a second, so that's 1 over 48th of a second. Now that is quite a slow shutter speed. Now if I didn't put the ND filters on, my footage would be overexposed. So the ND filter is actually reducing that overexposure. Now I want a natural motion blur. If I move my hand about like this, you'll see that it's a bit blurry compared to if I didn't have a filter on and I was running at say 4K 60 frames a second, and you'll get pin sharp image, which looks a bit harsh and a bit a bit too bit too clean, if you know what I mean. When you watch cinema, when you're down at the cinema, you watch it, you see there's a slight amount of motion blur, they call it. That's where the image is, although I'm in focus at the moment because I'm not moving, so any action that's going on behind has a little bit of what they call motion blur, which gives it's a bit better on the eye than standard 4K 60, which is a bit too harsh, I feel anyway. So that's what I'm trying to achieve is cinematic footage. Also, if you put an ND filter on, you can get some really nice effects, like the water. If I had a water feature going, I might be able to slow that down and get a nice misty feel to the surface of the water, or to the the water droplets coming, being sprayed about everywhere. I don't know if you've seen these waterfalls where it's silky smooth rather than the harsh instant photographs. Anyway, but that's it. That's what I'm using. I'm using the Freewell ND6, the Freewell ND filters with polarizing filter as well. So there's a hybrid filter that I'm using. This little kit costs well, you can buy them individually, and they're about £20, but I paid £60 for this kit for 4 filters. Obviously I've got my standard GoPro lens in there, and just to keep it safe, and this one here, I'll have to take a close-up photograph maybe, but on the ND filter, on this the Freewell filter, I don't know if you'll be able to see that there's a red edge and there's a white mark. You line 2 white marks up on there. One is a rotating circular polarizing filter. This rotates, or this outer ring here, if you can see that outer ring there rotates, and allows you to change the strength of the polarizing effect. So I've got mine set to maximum, although the sun's not quite at 45 degrees or 90 degrees to me. It's getting closer to 90 degrees, so hopefully that will reduce some of the reflections that you might see. Yeah, one thing, when you're out taking photographs, you cannot get rid of the reflections. When you're in post and you're color grading your image, you can't get rid of the reflection, unfortunately. So it's best to get it mechanically with this filter here. That will help get rid of all the reflections. And of course, what I do with this footage that I'm going to collect now is that I'm going to color grade it in post. Now, the settings that I'm using, it's, like I said, 4K, it's 24 frames a second. My shutter speed is 1/48 of a second. I'm using a flat color profile, and I'm also, my sharpness is set to low. Now, when I do my post editing, I'll go in and I'll color grade. I'll probably have to bring up the brightness a tad, bring up the brightness a little bit. I can also increase the contrast a little tiny bit, and then I can now start to change the go back into the deeper settings and change the brightness level. Sometimes I have to, if I'm using a slightly weaker ND filter, the picture looks a bit washed out, so I have to reduce the brightness down. And then I can start to slowly increase the color profile a little bit. I don't normally use a lot. I maybe increase the color by about 14 to 16%, somewhere around that. Obviously, I'll use the foreground, midground, background brightness settings, and then I'll go into the color as well. So I'll change the color, I'll increase or decrease the color. Until I get something that's more natural looking, bright and vibrant, but not overpowering. I try not to go too high with the color profiles. So what I like to do is, I've got a very good memory, so I can remember the colors that I've seen in the pictures. Pictures that I'm taking, and I try to replicate that on the screen. So what you're seeing is a picture of me. I'm looking quite pale at the moment because of the lack of sunlight that I've suffered while on board ship. There's no natural sunlight in the ship's engine room, so that's quite a bit one of the downsides of being at sea. And of course, being in a hot engine room all day long, you don't want to sit outside in the hot sun. So yeah, that's one of the downsides. Oh, I'm playing with this. Right. Anyway, so that's me. That's what I'm using. So I go into and I use my video grade app, which is completely free, and you can donate if you want to, but I haven't done yet. I should really bung him a couple of quid really for his program, but yeah, we'll sort that out. Anyway, so that's it then. The neutral density filter doesn't add any color, changes to the color. All it is it's a grey filter that just reduces the amount of light coming into the camera, but it doesn't change the color. There are some filters out there that will change the color, but I'm not using one of those at the moment. Just this neutral density. Oh, a pigeon. So another pigeon. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment, is just experimenting with the color grading and the ND filters. Okay, so give it a thumbs up and a like if you find this useful, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one, as they say. Okay, see you. Bye then.